sisters, welcome to the video. Today we will be talking about St. Paul before his conversion. I hope you learned something from this, and if you do, be sure to like and subscribe.
To start us off, we need to know who St. Paul was. Well, he was born around 10 AD in the city of Tarsus, which is now in present-day Turkey, as you can see on the map. St. Paul was one of the most influential saints. His writings have influenced the development of the church. He was originally known as Saul and was both a Roman citizen and a Pharisee. A Pharisee is a group of people who administered the law. While on his journey to Damascus, he received a vision that made him convert to Christianity. This is where he got baptized and got the name Paul. As he traveled all over the world, he preached Christianity. Paul would write letters to answer any questions people who were converting had, which were later added into the Bible. These writings are so important as they give Christians advice on how they should live their lives. St. Paul died in 67 AD. There is not much information about how he died, but it is thought he was beheaded.
St. Paul had many personality traits that made him so successful. He had a strategy of traveling to heavily populated cities and areas to spread Christianity. He used his friends and family to help him spread Christianity. With all of the traveling and working, Paul was able to communicate any news to all surrounding churches. Lastly, St. Paul was a very confident man. Time after, he spoke in front of the government and church officials about what he believed in.
St. Paul grew up in Jerusalem with a Jewish family. He was born a Roman citizen. Gamaliel, a leader in the Sanhedrin, raised him. Along with learning religious scriptures, he also studied Greek philosophers. These philosophers thought that life was a path of happiness. When St. Paul grew a little older, he picked up a trade, making tents. During this time period, all people needed a trade. St. Paul did this trade especially because he was poor. Making and selling tents gave him enough money to be able to travel to several different countries, spreading Christianity.
Paul was liberally educated. Because he grew up in Tarsus, he had the privilege of attending primary grammar school and rhetorical school. He was very well educated and had a good foundation, which is why his epistles are so thought out and good.
One of St. Paul's teachings was that old religious traditions, such as dietary laws, were no longer required. St. Paul taught that Jesus Christ was a divine being, and salvation could be achieved by faith alone. St. Paul put a big focus on the ideas of original sin, atonement, and the role of Jesus Christ's crucifixion. And on the map in the lower left, you can see all of the places he traveled to spread these messages. St. Paul went from someone who persecuted Christians to a Christian himself. He turned into a Christian after receiving a vision from Jesus when he was traveling on the road of Damascus. Jesus asked him why he persecuted his people. After he had the vision, Paul dedicated his life to spreading Christianity.
That is all for today's video. I hope you all learned something new about St. Paul. Remember, St. Paul dedicated his life to spreading Christianity after being called by Jesus on the road of Damascus. He will forever be known as one of the most influential and important saints.